everybody, how's it going? It's Jamie, the crafty DIY guy. I am back and I have got 100% Dollar Tree DIY projects for you today that I am so excited about. Literally every single one of these projects will remain in my home. I will not be selling them. I will not be giving, not that I sell anything. I will not be giving them away to friends. I will not be donating them. I will be keeping all of these because I am obsessed with them. Before we get into that though, I do have to say thank you to my OGs. You know who you are. OG means old time friend, old gang, old gangster, original. You've been a friend for a long time and I appreciate it. And I thank you so much for being here. If you are brand new to the channel, welcome. Maybe you'll be an OG someday as well. I hope that you'll stick around and have a lot of fun with us. If maybe YouTube recommended this video to you, thank you, YouTube. I appreciate it. I hope that you will become a subscriber as well. And let's get into the projects because I think I made some pretty cool things. All right, everyone, and for project number one, I'm going to be using 2 of these Dollar Tree potion bottles that I had left over from a Halloween haul. Also, I grabbed these laser cut stars. I really like these. They have these in a variety of shapes at your local Dollar Tree. Most Dollar Trees anyway. And then I also grabbed 2 of these pencil holders from Crafter Square Dollar Tree as well. The square potion bottles happen to fit perfectly inside these pencil holders, so I'm going to be using these as some faces. First thing I did was take everything outside and give it a blue coat of spray paint. I just used the Midnight Blue from Rust-Oleum that I've been using a lot for my projects. This is definitely my favorite color if you haven't figured that out already. Everything just received 1 coat. Then I took the bottles inside and put them right back inside of those pencil case holders. And then I took my laser cut stars. I picked out 2 that I liked and just glued them on the front of each one of my vases, kind of like so. I'm using my Shore Bonder glue here, and this is just kind of an all-purpose glue. I am just literally putting them directly in the center, just on one side, and the vases are done. This is what they look like on the mantle. I absolutely love them so much. I think that they are perfect. I also put one just by itself next to my globe and thought that it was equally amazing and really love the way that these turned out. And for project number 2, I'm going to be using one of these Hot Wheels track sets that you can pick up in the kids section at your local Dollar Tree. I also grabbed 2 of these wooden circles from Crafter Square and 2 of these glass vases. First thing I did was take my tracks apart and kind of mark them at the 12-inch spot. These tracks are about 23 inches long, so you're not going to be able to get 2 at 12 inches. Then I took my scissors and just cut right through them. They are plastic, so they will cut really, really easily. I just made sure that the line was nice and straight. Then I lined them up, and then I took another ruler out, and I measured down 8 inches and just put a mark where the 8-inch mark was. I want to be able to come back to that a little bit later. You'll see why in just a second. I'm going to take my drill and I'm just going to drill a small pilot hole in the side of my wood circle here. I'm going to do it right where that hole is, where that hanging piece of like burlap was. And just go very slow with this because I am holding this with my hand. Obviously, you want to be as safe as possible. But I did want my screw to be able to go through there much, much easier. Now, I did this on both of my circles, and then I went to my track. You may remember where I drew that circle, or that line rather, right where that 8-inch mark was on the track themselves. So now I'm just going to take my drill and just go very slowly through the plastic track and just drill a hole at that 8-inch mark. Once that pops through and I had them evened, then it was time to just go ahead and start screwing my track and the wood pieces together. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and stabilize my wood disc just a little bit more. And I'm going to do that by adding some of these wood, the kind of Jenga pieces, if you will. And what I'm doing is just gluing 2 blocks together and then just butting them right up against the wood circle there, and then I'm just going to kind of continue to build this up. I'm adding 4 blocks side by side, so 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and then I'm going to add 1 directly in the middle there, and I did repeat this same exact process for my second sconce as well. I took everything outside and gave it a nice coat of black spray paint. I finally got some black spray paint, y'all. And I just went ahead and used a spray paint that was going to be good for all surfaces. That way it would dry on the plastic as well as the wood. I literally just gave everything one kind of decent coat and let this dry for a couple hours. It's starting to get a little colder here in Georgia, so it took about 2 hours to dry, but it was totally fine because I was inside working on some other projects anyway. Once inside and everything had dried, I filled up my vases with a few Dollar Tree rocks and a few of the Dollar Tree wood pieces. I didn't do anything that was super heavy on this because I wanted to make sure that everything was going to be good and stable. And then I'm just going to simply put some of these Dollar Tree votives in there. And then the last thing I did was glue my glass vase right on top of my wood disc. That way everything would be nice and stable and it would help prevent it from falling off of the wall. And speaking of the wall, this is what they look like in my dining room. I am obsessed with these. I absolutely love them and think that they look very, very high end. These were inspired by something I saw at Z Gallery online that was almost $150. And I made it for about $4. And for my next project, I'm going to be using one of these Crafter Square wooden hearts that you can pick up right now in your store. I also grabbed one of these moss sheets. I had some of these leftover Dollar Tree wood pieces that I'm going to be using for this project as well. These are the birch, and I've got them in a variety of sizes. I think that the longer skinny ones are probably much better for this project. If you have a way to cut the shorter, squattier ones, you could definitely use those. And then I had some of this garland. So the first thing I did was take my antiquing wax. You know this is my absolute favorite product to work with. And I just antique waxed my heart. I literally just went all the way around it and then just gave everything a nice covering. And then I did wipe off some of the excess. I took my X-Acto knife here, or my tool from Slice, I should say, and just traced around the heart itself just to give me a kind of a rough cutout of what I was going to be covering the front of my heart with. And then I took some scissors and just cut it out, or cut the rest of it out, I should say. And then I did trim this down a little bit smaller. The center of that heart is kind of raised, and it's a little bit smaller than the outer part of that heart. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for something that's going to give me a good amount of coverage. And this is going to be perfect for what I'm doing with this project. And then I trimmed it up here just a little bit because it wasn't quite perfect. And then I added some Shore Bonder glue. Yes, by the way, that is black Shore Bonder glue that I'm doing right there on the top. And I am just going to glue that piece of moss sheet on top there. And then I did go through and add a little bit of the extra moss that kind of fell off, but don't brush that away. Any excess moss that falls off of your sheet when you're cutting it, save that, because you'll see what I'm going to be doing with it in a little bit here. Now, you may remember earlier where I recommended getting those smaller, skinnier pieces. I do think that these work best. Now, you could either use a saw like this that I did actually pick up at Dollar Tree. Just be very, very patient. But instead, I grabbed my Dremel and just started slicing through those birch pieces and got them much smaller. The goal here for me was to make sure that these pieces could go all the way around the outer edge of the heart. So I chopped down those pieces and made them a little smaller, a little more workable. And all I'm going to do is just take my glue and literally just work my way all the way around the heart using, once again, that black glue from Shore Bonder. And as I'm working my way around the heart, you can kind of see the heart starting to take shape. This is definitely meant to be kind of a rustic look. It's not supposed to be a perfect heart. And as you can see, when it's all done, I think it looks really, really cool, just kind of shaped like this. But I did decide to go ahead and fill mine inside. I I did that off camera, kind of like a bonehead, but that's okay. You'll be able to see what it looks like at the very end. The next thing I did was take my glue gun, and then I just worked my way all the way around the edges there. And I'm doing that for two reasons. One, to kind of hide some of the glue that's going to be showing through, but then I'm taking those excess moss pieces that I told you not to get rid of. And all I'm going to be doing is just kind of adding those to the outer ring of that heart. And it gives it a very cool, just kind of woodsy, woodland look. And this is what it looks like when it's hanging on the wall. If you have an Easter tree, I think that these would be amazing on the Easter tree. I think that this is also very cool for Valentine's Day. But for mine, I decided to hang it on one of my vintage doorknobs that is in my house. What do you guys think? I really, really like this and think it is so sweet looking. And for my next project here, I'm going to be using 12 of these Dollar Tree chalkboards. These all have that easel back on them that we will actually be removing. You can just grab a pair of pliers and it will come off pretty easily. Then I'm going to take my Shore Bonder wood glue and glue these together. I'm going to start by gluing them 2 pieces at a time. That way everything has a nice opportunity to harden and to set up. And then once I've got those all glued together in the 2s, then I'm going to glue the 2s together and make them 4s. And then I'm going to glue the 3 sets of 4s together, making them 12. Hopefully I did my math right and you guys know exactly what the heck I was talking about. Also, you'll notice that your chalkboards are not all the identical same size, so you may have a little bit of gapping here. You don't want any of your tape to show through, and this is the tape that I'm using to just kind of help reinforce and hold these together. So instead, all I'm going to do is take the tape and go over some of the broader areas, and then some of the pieces that, or some of the places, I should say, that are closer together, I will add some tape like this. And then I will go through and just cut a piece of cardboard that is large enough to cover the back completely. And then also just seal that down with my masking tape as well. And as you can see, this was nice and sturdy. I then took some antiquing wax and just loosely went over the frame itself. And when it was all done, this is what it looked like hanging on the wall. I love this organization station. It allows me to put appointments and reminders and grocery lists and all kinds of goodies on it.